Hello, everybody. This is me, Julia, with Jane de Vos, who is my online business manager and does lots of brilliant things for me. And I wanted to talk to Jane today about virtual assistants, online business managers, how it all works and how those people might be useful for you in your product journey. So say hello, Jane.
Hello, everyone.
So Jane, first question, let's start with a virtual assistant. What is a virtual assistant and how does it all work?
Okay, so a virtual assistant is someone that works remotely, normally, especially in today's world, and is normally a contractor and does admin and loves all the boring bits. So normally what business owners don't like doing, the organization, the admin, that's where the virtual assistant comes in. And normally where they would start is having a look at, for example, diary management, sorting out like customer service. If there's, especially like if you're selling, buying products, they could be your customer service person. So that's probably the normal starting point.
Okay. And you call yourself an online business manager. What's the difference between a VA, a virtual assistant, and an online business manager?
Okay, so a VA normally works with more than one client. It's very rare that you have a full-time VA on your team when you're starting out, unless, you know, when you expand, and of course you would want to get one full-time. So VA has a mix of clients that they manage for themselves, and they work either on a sort of pay-as-you-go basis or a retainer, and they're very much task focused. So like I mentioned about diary management, setting up meetings, creating lead magnets, what we're going to talk about later, and like social media posts, they focus on tasks. Online business managers focus on projects as a whole. They can look after the teams. So for business owners, they become like the level in between, so that the CEO or the business owner doesn't have to deal with the day-to-day stuff with what happens in any office environment.
So would the online business manager be more like an office manager in a traditional setting? They would sort out in a team situation when people were going on holiday, or are there enough post-its, that sort of thing? But this would be the online version of that.
So a little bit. Normally, so how I work is there'll be a VA looking like after all the office admin side of it, and then I would focus on the projects and delivering any sort of new products. So hiring people, restructuring teams, etc. So it's more so like the higher project management side of things.
Okay, so it would be somebody who is a bit further on in their business journey, maybe has a team or has quite a lot of complicated things going on and different projects.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, didn't know that. Thank you. And are there different sorts of virtual assistant or different sorts of online business managers?
Yes. So depending on every person's background. So, for example, I work with a VA who specializes in social media. So she loves anything to do with social media. So creating social media, scheduling it, creating really fancy leaflets and lead magnets. That's her thing, but she still calls herself a VA. So then you've got the other side of where you've got a techie VA who could be looking after your website, managing like the e-commerce side of things if you're selling products. So there's different specialities, definitely.
Okay. And do they cost different amounts of money?
Yes. So I would say the average rate in the UK, as at I think last week, the Society of Virtual Assistants published their annual survey, which is in the 12th year. So the average rate is £27.17, which has gone up. So in the last 2 years from 25. Normally starting, I would say £25 at the moment for a normal generic VA. Mm-hmm. If did something more specialised, it'll be 35 to 40.
Okay, right. Yeah, that makes sense. And for an online business manager, I'm guessing that's got more responsibility, so that would cost be at the higher end.
Yeah, so normally business managers start probably £55 and upwards, depending on what they have to do.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. So let's look at the sort of tasks that a busy business owner might want to ask a virtual assistant to do when they're transitioning to a products-based business. So a lot of the people that I work with are coming from a services business to start off with. They're busy selling their time for money. And I might recommend that they get the help of a virtual assistant to free up some of their time in doing that, so that they've then got some time to work on the products. You've got experience of that. What might that look like in practice?
So in practice, it's where probably everyone's done their zone of genius exercise with you.
Yeah.
There'll be a list of things that people have on their I have to do it, but I really don't like to do it list.
Yeah.
Which normally is sorting out their inboxes, having standard operating procedures, how things are done, diary management, contacting customers, sorting out meetings, organising events, that sort of thing a VA could do very easily without that much background.
Okay. So you could get stuck into those kind of admin time-sucking things. And in your experience of working with, you must have worked with lots of people by now, how much time would a small business owner, say one person in a business, who's coming from a services type business, they've got a bit busy, how much time would a VA save them over a week or a month?
I would say, so for anyone starting out, I would recommend doing a retainer, so anything between 10 to 20 hours per month to start off with, to review all the activities, and then normally get at least a day back a week when they're not sorting out their own admin.
Okay. And what sort of things do people say when you or one of your VA friends goes in and starts to do that work and take it off the shoulders of the business owner? What sort of things do people say?
How much more time they've got, that they didn't know that like rules could be set up in Gmail or Outlook, where things automatically go out of your inbox, so you're not looking at 5,000 emails each day. You could have labels like, this is Julia, this is for you to action, this is what you're waiting on, and this is what your VA is sorting out, so you don't need to see it. Okay. So that brings that calm already when you log in, that it's all dealt with.
So do you think that helps people with attention management as well? If you're going through, say, their email inbox, or you go through LinkedIn for me, so I don't have to pay attention to LinkedIn, I don't even have to look at it. But if there's something urgent, you can point it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that saves people's brains being used up.
Yeah. So then they can focus on the bits that they need to and enjoy.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I like the use of the zone of genius within there as well, because there's lots of things that we're each either not very good at or we're okay at it, but we don't really enjoy it. And what you're saying is that for the things that I don't really enjoy or I'm not very good at, there's people out there who do really like that, and they're much better than me.
Yeah.
Okay. So how might a VA help to make the first parts of the product ecosystem? Say if somebody wanted to make a lead magnet and or a simple tripwire product. I think there's a bit of a myth that people talk about that I see written on the internet, along with all the other internet myths, that you can just set up a products business, particularly a digital products business, and you just get a VA to do it all. And I'm not sure that's really the case. You can just give it all to them.
No, so I would say that, you know, the idea would come, you know, from the business owner, with sort of rough outlines. So, for example, a lead magnet or some mini thing that they will have on their website, the VA could then create it either in like Adobe or Canva accounts, if it's like a PDF download or something that's fillable, and then also then be able to put it onto the website, or using software like MailChimp to start creating the email list, because everyone, you know, they need to build their own audience basically.
Yeah. So that technical part of formatting a lead magnet, getting it set up so that people can actually get the lead magnet and get added to the list, plus setting up the MailChimp or the email distribution. You could give all of that to a VA and you wouldn't have to learn that stuff yourself.
No. So if you don't want to learn it and you haven't got the time, then there are VAs, you know, that will do, for example, a, you know, lead magnet package, newsletter package, you know, in their rates even, or you can have it as part of your retainer with a VA. Is one of their monthly, weekly jobs is to do the automation and the lead magnet.
Right, perfect. So that's a really good tip on how to handle it. But the business owner still needs to think of the idea and write it.
Yes, or also you could get a copywriter on board.
Okay. And would a VA help with that? Find a good copywriter?
Normally, yes. I think there's Facebook groups and, you know, networks that, so where I hang out as well, there's VAs that specialize in copywriting as well. So it depends. There's not I wouldn't say there's a VA that does everything amazingly. So you need to make sure that you have the right resources in place. Get the best out of them.
So it sounds like you all hang out together and you say, oh, can you help me on this project, and get people who have got really good skills. So you bring in other freelancers to help.
Exactly.
Because you can spend hours trying to look for a trustworthy person to do some copywriting or do a technical thing. So it's for the time saver. Okay. When somebody is more ambitious and they want to scale quickly, would you say a VA could handle setting up multiple lead magnets, funnels, complex automations? Is that a thing that your normal VA can do, or is that a specialist thing, or is it a particular sort of VA? What kind of help would you need for that?
I would personally, I would get sort of like a more senior tech VA that's got experience in it, because you don't want to faff about, you know, losing time if you want to do it quickly.
Okay. And if you had a VA who was helping you with the admin, would I be right in saying that if you gave it to them to do, it might be asking them to do too much and they might get a bit like, oh my God, what's this?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes you can, especially if they're starting out, if you're a business owner that's got, for example, all the procedures documented, how you do things, VAs are very good at following, you know, what's there and learning on the job, because that's part of why they love what they do, because they want to learn all different systems and be, you know, be able to serve more customers basically.
Yeah.
But I think if it's more techie, I would definitely go for a more techie route, techie VA.
Okay. And you can have more than one at the same time?
Oh yes. Yeah, freelancers. And there's also so people have agencies where they have like all different parts of the team, so then they can call on the person that they need to service that client as well. So
all right, so that would be a VA agency and they would have specialists.
Yeah.
Is that more expensive?
Normally you would do a retainer.
Right.
So you have 20 hours, but for example, you could go to them and go, I'm setting up a new product. I need to sort out the launch, the marketing, you know, and they would have the whole project plan and they would pull in the resources that they need and then give you a quote.
Excellent. Good. And what about the promotion side of things? So we talked about setting things up on your website. You look after LinkedIn for me, and when I give you stuff to publish on LinkedIn, you do that. Although that's one of my weak points about putting stuff out there. But tell me about the sort of things that a VA might do to promote the business and get the word out there.
Yeah, so depending on where your target customers are, you could have a scheduling tool in place. So something like, if it's more creative or product based, Plannerly for Instagram, or SmarterQ does all the different social channels so that things are scheduled. So the VA could actually be creating the content in Canva or other places, or taking your photos of products or testimonials, putting them into software, which then you would either approve, or if you know how they work, you just go get on with it, and they can have it all scheduled and it's all done. So yeah.
So definitely promotion on social media, putting all of that together. And what about other promotions like networking or finding referrers?
Yep, that's possible as well. I think there's lots of mainly Facebook groups and also LinkedIn groups as well that they'll probably have access to, that they could help with that.
Okay, what of setting up a Facebook group and making sure that people are nice in it and it's all looked after.
Yeah, so be like the moderator or admin.
Yeah.
On the client's behalf. And so also like go in and sort of proactively encourage people to discuss things and give feedback on products.
Okay, so lots of things. And overall, what would you see as the investment level that somebody might make at different business stages on getting a VA or an online business manager to help them?
So I think initially, when you're literally starting out and like the VA is the first person you're bringing on board, I would get them to do like all the admin bits. So as I said, start off with maybe 10 to 20 hours per month, just so that you get used to also delegating and giving the work out, because that takes a bit of time. And then depending on when you've got the product launches, get sort of other contractors as required on board, and they can be just project based. So I've worked, with people where it's a 3-month stint, because we know that's when the launch is. So I come on board and manage the team of the contractors while they're, getting that done, and then I finish, and then they carry on with the normal day to day. So.
And tell us about the money side of that when you're thinking about how much investment that would be, because I know that's a concern for somebody, especially if you've not had a team or not had freelancers working for you before. You get to keep all the money in your business and you get used to that. And then suddenly it's like, oh, well, give somebody else money. You don't necessarily want to do that. What might that look like?
So I would say normally sort of general VA, I think probably budget anything between sort of £500 to £1,000 a month initially. Working with the OBM, I would budget £1,500 a month as a starter for a retainer. And that's like the basic stuff. And then if it's a project leading up to a product launch, probably inject another sort of 25% on top, time-wise.
Right. So that would be quite a lot of involvement there. But you could also just dip your toe in the water and go, right, I'll get somebody at the lower end of the scale, and it would be like £250, £300 a month just to get you started.
Exactly.
Okay.
And normally, so what I've seen is like I think it's like a bi-weekly newsletter and social media posts. Normally it's about £250 per month, as a package from me.
Just for people who are doing productize your expertise, Jane's in our Slack group. So Jane will, as part of her work with me, help you if you want to talk to her specifically about who you might want as a VA, how to find a good person, how to get the most out of them, and then be able to point you in the right direction. So you can reach out to Jane in the Slack group and have a nice chat with her.
Want to learn more about the art of productizing your expertise? There are new videos here every week. Here are a couple of good ones to get you going.